Good morning. Okay, welcome to your program agenda. And sorry for that slight feedback there, but it's gone already. Anyway, good morning. Welcome to your program agenda. Thank you for being subscribers of Cignal TV and viewers of One News on channels 8 and 250. Today is November 21, 2023. It's a Tuesday, and in a matter of about 5.5 weeks, we will all be celebrating Christmas. Right now, the invitations are coming in for Christmas parties. People are asking what are our plans for Christmas, etc., etc. I do hope that you all get to celebrate a really meaningful Christmas this year, considering what the entire world has gone through for several years during COVID. But let me not get ahead of your plans because it's still about 5.5 weeks away. So let's focus on today. As they say, don't look at yesterday. You can't do anything. You can plan for tomorrow, but today is what you have to live in. So, this being a Tuesday, we continue with our conversations, and today we are going to have two different topics, but sort of related in the realm of security. The first interview or discussion will be with an expert regarding cybersecurity, the study of cyber, what do you call it, hacking, etc. And I think all of you will pick up something from our first guest. Our second guest, a regular on the program, will help us figure out what exactly is the Philippine government, particularly the Bureau of Immigration, doing about all of these Chinese nationals who are being reported for running illegal gambling operations, for driving high-end luxury cars that when you check are not in the registry of the LTO and have no records, or reports about Chinese women being recruited from China as workers, only to discover that they are being held hostage for ransom from their relatives. Anyway, we'll try to tackle all of that this morning. But before that, thank you to all our Cignal TV subscribers. Thank you to those of you who watch us via Facebook and on YouTube. And maraming salamat po doon sa mga bumabate, nagkukwento, and even people who watch the program and send me feedback, which I get to use in my column in the Philippine Star. Meanwhile, thank you to those who have the Cignal Play app, and of course, PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet. Sir Marco Borlongan, maraming salamat po for your support, and of course for the presence of PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet all over the country that allows us agenda to air online. Okay, now let's go to our daily starter for the day. And it comes from the financial guru Dave Ramsey. Success is a pile of all the mistakes you've made, and you're standing on it rather than laying under it. Okay? Think about this, ha? Medyo baka sabihin nyo, nosebleed naman yan, Cito. Sorry po, Amerikano nagsabi. But success is a pile of all the mistakes you've made. Lahat ng pinagsama-sama mong pagkakamali na tinutungtungan mo at tinatayuan mo that you are standing on rather than laying under it. Because there are people who, like all of us, have made mistakes, but instead of walking over them, walking through them, they decide to just lie in their mistake, nagpatalo sa kanilang pagkakamali, And in the end, they are buried by their mistakes instead of learning from their mistakes, rising from their mistakes, and standing successfully. So lahat po tayo, including yours truly, if I allow the devil to lie to me, which he does every day, he lies to me and to you, and telling you, ay nako, you'll never recover from that. Oh, you made such a mistake. Oh, you really blew it this time, etc. No, you don't believe those lies of the enemy. You take the promises of God, the promises of the Lord, take them as the only truth in your life. You stand on your success, and you are going to be a successful. Nasa inyo po yan. Kung gusto nyo humigang talunan, parang sa sabong, talunan na, hindi pa makatuka, patay ka, tinola ang mangyayari sa'yo. Okay, so anyway, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star to do a review of the front page headline. China artificial islands nearing Philippine coast. Palapit na ng palapit yung mga islang ginagawa ng China sa dalampasigan ng Pilipinas. Okay? Philippines needs U.S. allies for peace in West Philippine Sea. Chinese military facilities on reclaimed land features in the West Philippine Sea have come alarmingly close to the country's coastlines, President Marcos said yesterday as he expressed concern over what he called false narratives, coercive tactics, and dangerous maneuvers aimed at restricting activities in Philippine territorial water. Yan po. So, ngayon, nagko-call a friend na ang Pangulo. Okay, so there you go. Ironically, the center photo of the Philippine Star, nako po, visitors, I don't know if, Gab, can you put that in the center, please? Visitors stand before one of the entries in the 16th Belenismo sa Tarlac, which showcases the talents and skills of residents in the art of making theme nativity scene. Parang yung mga mga tawag ba nila dyan, sampan, yung mga Chinese fishing vessel that you see often in Hong Kong Harbor. So there you go. That's the very disturbing news in the front page of the Philippine Star, the headline. At the top of the front page, the header, 5.2 quake rocks Samar, Mindanao death toll rises to 9. Okay, another earthquake hit the south, this time in Samar, registering 5.2, while that earthquake in Sarangani has now registered its 9th victim. So naghahanap pa rin po sila. At the left of the front page at the header, MMDA downplays transport strike. Despite the apparent lack of public utility vehicles, particularly jeepneys at certain periods yesterday, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority downplayed anew the transport strike launched by Progressive Group, pinagkaisang samahan ng mga tsuper at operator nationwide. Piston failed to paralyze the transportation on their first day of strike, according to Chairman Romando Artes of the MMDA. Magbago na po kayo ng kanta, mga miyembro ng Piston. Okay, meanwhile, right upper part, a photo of President Bongbong Marcos with First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos, posted by U.S. Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson on X, shows her welcoming President Marcos and First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos upon their arrival at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport in Honolulu yesterday. Marcos jokes, I got laid in Hawaii. Nako po, medyo nosebleed po yung joke na yon kasi yung I got laid dito refers to the Hawaiian floral arrangement that they call a lei, which sinasabit sa leeg natin. I won't go any further than that because baka ma-board of censors tayo. Meanwhile, lower to the left, lower side, Scarborough first appeared on maps of Philippine waters in 1750s, according to the William Heather 1799 chart of the China Seas, showing Scarborough Shoal, which was named after the British ship that struck the reef. Okay, nabahura sila at pinangalanan nilang Scarborough Reef. Further down, we don't want Sara impeached, BBM. President Marcos stood by Vice President Sara Duterte yesterday saying she does not deserve to be impeached and that he only has positive things to say about her work, while claiming that it is not unusual to hear about efforts to oust a leader. Marcos said he is closely watching the issue because he is against impeaching the vice president who was his running mate in 2022 elections. Ginoong Pangulo, kausapin niyo po yung mga kamag-anak ninyo. Okay. Philippine population may reach 115 million by year end. May reach daw. Parang matagal lang na-reach yun. The Philippine population, according to the Commission on Population Development, said yesterday, may reach 115 million by December 31, 2023. Okay. Meanwhile, yan po, okay, this big, beautiful building, okay, so long port area, the Star makes its move. The Philippine Star office and printing facilities, well, the office, the Philippine Star has moved to its new home, a modern office building located at the Amvel Business Park in Sucat, Parañaque. Yun po. So, 37 years in Anda Circle, dun sa port area. Finally, the Philippine Star has moved to the business center in Parañaque. So that's all the news we have from the front page of the Philippine Star. We'll go for a quick break, and when we return, umpisa na natin our conversation, and hopefully, as usual, our learnings from our chosen guests here on Agenda.
The Philippines is the 29th country in the world with the highest reported cases of breached accounts in the third quarter of this year. This is according to the latest data of VPN company Surfshark. Lawmakers have expressed worry over recent reports of hacking incidents in the country. Just last week, the Department of Information and Communications Technology confirmed that cyber hackers got into the World Health Organization database, thereby getting access to some personal information of Filipinos who got COVID-19 vaccines. Given this and past hacking incidents like the one with PhilHealth, veteran data analyst Dominic Ligot said hackers may just be able to create an open source website that contains data of Filipinos and their personal lives. How can the Philippines solve its cybersecurity problem? Let's discuss this on today's agenda. Dominic Ligot is a veteran data analyst who also advocates for data literacy, data ethics, and social impact from data. He is the founder of Zerolatics, a social impact AI company, and Data Ethics PH, an online community focused on data privacy, security, and ownership rights, among others. Ligot is also a Board of Trustees member of the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism.
Good morning, Dominic Ligot. Welcome to the program agenda.
Morning, Sir Cito. Nice to be here.
Okay, and today you are the designated lecturer on cyber attack, cyber security. But you know, the thing that caught my attention, and I'm sure most Filipinos who are watching the program, is the phrase open source. That all of these cyber hacks, this hacking of information, data, etc., could create an open source. Naiisip ko kasi open source, kumbaga no, sugat, ano. But what do you mean exactly with an open source?
Open source is a term used mostly in software development where you can download freely software packages and reuse them. This is how many of the new and modern software is developed these days. Unlike before, when you say closed source, you have to pay someone a license fee and you don't know how the software works. So in theory, open source is supposed to be a good thing, no? Mm-hmm. But I mentioned that in the context of our data only because in the past 2 months, there have just been so many leaks, government data, and then now some private sector data, NGO data has been leaked. So anyone can freely download them just like any open source software. And I think the consequences are, quite dire. That means all of our personal data is out there in cyberspace and anyone can use it.
Can you explain that to us and to me in particular? Because ang ugali ko kasi bahala na si Batman eh. Anything I don't understand, anything I can't really figure out or I'm ignorant about, sometimes, or many times I just go, bahala na si Batman, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But what really is the concern? Why should we be worried about personal data going out there? In general, what happens to that data and how does it affect our viewers?
Yeah, I think if we step back, probably in the last maybe 20 years, our day-to-day lives have changed. Everything is now online and we depend highly on online and digital platforms for day-to-day things, financial, non-financial, social media. Even the way we consume information, no? Once upon a time, maybe 20, 30 years ago, we would be watching this show on TV. Maybe for the most part, it still is. But I'm sure most people will be watching this on the internet or through social media. So I like to coin the phrase, data rights are human rights. Because in the past 20 years, because of all of these changes, our day-to-day lives have been synonymous with data. And now, my opinion is, unfortunately, our habits have not changed. We don't consider data a priority. So when things like the PhilHealth hack, and then years ago, the Comi leak, and then most recently, WHO, when we suffer data breaches, it's not unusual for people to disregard that. But I think we need to, that's why we advocate for a change in culture in Data Ethics PH, one of the organizations I run, because it's already proving that if you lose data or data goes into the wrong hands, it can compromise people's lives.
In what sense, Dominic? Because in actual sense, because some people say, well, the worst is they'll send me spam. The worst is they'll send me junk mail. I mean, the presumption is if you have double double password, you have double security, etc. If you have complicated keys, etc., then you're generally safe. But give us actual examples of people's lives being disrupted because of this data leak.
I think the most immediate threat, and it's not just any data. I think we have to be specific. It's what we call PII, personally identifiable information. So anything from you mentioned passwords, emails, cell phone numbers, especially in light of the SIM card registration earlier. We have all been forced to centralize our identity. So it's not unusual that the same email, password, and cell phone number you use, let's say for Facebook, is the exact same one you use for online banking. It's what you use for e-wallets. It's what you will use for online shopping. Now, for me, there's a term in technology called single point of failure. So the moment one of these applications are breached or that data is leaked, that can now give whoever has possession of that data access to all of your other transactions and accounts. So the most immediate threat there is identity theft and fraud, because if someone had access to all of your applications, especially the financial ones, then I'll be able to transact as if I were you. I'll be able to transfer money. I'll be able to compromise your information. And then secondarily, privacy. So if I had access to your Facebook, I'll have access to all your photos, your messages. Some of that can be quite damaging, not just for private citizens, but especially if you are a person of some influence, politician, or even people in companies. Company secrets can be leaked. In fact, some of the more recent rumored leaks are actually private sector leaks.
Okay, so yeah, that is a possibility. At the most, it can be annoying, and worse, it can actually lead to people accusing you mistakenly for something that you're not responsible for. Kasi yung mga nagsusolicit ng funds, nag-hack ng mga messenger, etc. But this thing about ethics that you were talking about, the ethics in data, what exactly are you championing?
So when we started data ethics in 2019, and it's already been almost 4 years, 5 years as of this time, we noticed that, number one, the awareness of people about how important data is to their lives is practically zero. So that's the number one thing we want to champion, that we're now living in a data-driven world. You've heard of the phrase, the fourth industrial revolution, which is basically data. We wanted people to be aware of that. Secondly, we also wanted people to be aware of just how damaging data can be to people. If your privacy is compromised, and your personal life is out there, that can have dire consequences. And then thirdly, on a more positive note, we also wanted to show people that data can be used to address social problems. So that's another mantra we have. After data rights is human rights, we see that social problems are also data problems. And we saw this during the COVID pandemic, people looking at contact tracing data, vaccination data. If that data quality is not good, it can deprive people of basic services. So yun yung 3 areas of intervention namin: awareness, data rights, and social good from data.
But is this, are you championing this in the hopes of getting legislation, strong legislation, punitive legislation, or is it more of making companies responsible, more on the civil rather than the criminal legal side of things.
Yeah, our first area of intervention is really just getting public discourse, going. Because even up to now, as I'm sure you'll agree, there's not enough discussion about it. Ironically, and this shows an example. We get the floor every time a crisis happens. No, sometimes a hack occurs or people get hurt, and then we have a floor, and we feel that we should be looking at data more naturally as opposed to during crisis areas. Now, you mentioned legislation. That's actually a long-term goal of ours because some things stick out. Like, for example, the word data doesn't even make an impression in the Constitution. It only appears once, and it's in the context of research. So that's why when people hear data, they think something academic. It's not important to me. The word data doesn't even exist in the Declaration on Human Rights, which is, to be fair, really a long time ago. But now every part of our lives is dependent on data, and we feel that our existing laws and statutes are not actually ready for a data-driven society.
Okay, so how do you hope changes will happen? Because do you even have champions in the legislation or in the national government? I know that to a small extent, President Bongbong Marcos is somewhat computer literate. He is more, inclined digitally. But when I review all the people we know in Congress, in the Senate, they're the how would you say it? They were just they are in the Senate, in Congress. There are not too many of them are literate in terms of data, in terms of all of these things that you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's early days, even after 4 years now. On the executive front, we have dealt with a number of agencies, primarily the DICT, whose mandate probably covers many of the things we espouse. We've also had experience working with the Department of Science and Technology as early as 2019. We worked with them to launch a nationwide campaign to make people data literate. No, we call that Project Sparta. It ended in 2022 after the administration change. In Congress, we have a few leads. For example, I've been working with the Office of Congressman Mark Go of Baguio. He's in the process of preparing a bill to educate people, 1% of Filipinos in artificial intelligence naman, no, which is another aspect of data. So yeah, I mean, obviously things could be better. Talking about President Marcos, I just have to say he was the first, to my knowledge, president to actually mention the fourth industrial revolution in his State of the Nation, like his first SONA. So at the very least, there's a pin on the corkboard, so to speak, about data. But we really need to improve. The other thing that I'd like to highlight, I don't think people also equate data to economic growth, and I think we just ignore the fact that we have an almost $40 billion industry in the BPO sector that is primarily data-driven. Call centers, financial companies, and banks outsource, their functions here. And we also need to take care of that growing middle class, no, in the BPO sector. And part of that is maintaining this posture that we can take care of data and security. For the most part, most of these BPOs have the best cybersecurity talent. Pero sayang, if it stays with that sector, it doesn't, infect the rest of the economy.
Okay, in what ways does this data contribute to the economy? Because I hate to oversimplify it, Dominic. Okay, I need to make it more, edible, sexy, or digestible. Data is, in my generation, statistics, information. In your generation, it's a whole lot new ball game. What has changed, and how does this data actually become monetized?
Okay. No, that's very important. I think for the most part, probably as late as the early 2000s for the Philippines, people's attitudes towards data is quite passive. Because we all see it just as an offshoot of business. So you produce a report, your financial results, that's data, but it's after the fact. But what we've seen, especially with the proliferation of digital platforms, is that data is actually the prime mover. No, like in, for example, social media like Facebook, your personal data is being used for advertising. It's being used to give you content, and I think I'm sure we'll all be ready to admit social media has replaced mass media. The new mass media is really social media.
Mhm.
And just think of the way we used to advertise in the mass media era. It's basically, one size fits all. You put something on a billboard, hopefully everyone sees it. But on a platform like Facebook, what you see on your news feed is customized just for you. There's no one else who is.
Algorithm.
Algorithms are the process of serving that content, and that's dependent on data. That's why data is really vital. And then at the same time, it's behind the scenes in every transaction we do, everything from health to education, particularly financial. That's all about data access. Like, you have a user account and your password, and also the actual transactions that you do. That's why it's really vital that, number one, awareness of this data is important. Security of the data is important. And then you mentioned data monetization. I think people also don't put too much parang economic value to that data. And yet
Mm.
you have companies like Facebook and the rest earning billions of dollars on that data. So arguably, we are the product being sold by Facebook to advertisers. We feel that
Mhm.
we're the user, but actually we're
We
the product.
we are the cows who eat the grass of Facebook and social media, and in the end, we become the steak they serve to their advertisers.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know if you caught the recent news. I saw this on the Star kahapon. So the Department of Defense, the National Security Council, is looking into platforms like TikTok because TikTok is traceable to China, and TikTok is one of the most effective social media platforms. People are literally glued on their TikToks. No, if maybe not our age, no, but the younger ages, they're literally glued on TikToks, and they understand your viewing habits, etc. And if that data is actually accessible by other countries with or without your permission, then data now becomes a geopolitical issue as well.
Well, that is so true because I mean, there's always been this suspicion that our gadgets, our phones, our iPads literally listen to us. Some claim that the cameras actually continue unless you turn them off. And some friends of mine went to China and they had not even gone to the immigration counter, and that their identities were already there was already facial recognition, and then their information was there. So I said, well, when you disembark, plus your information regarding your flight manifest, that's already all in the computers. So their supercomputers just probably suck it out and chew it and spit it out on their immigration counters.
Yeah, one of the most behind the scenes but most valuable information is what we call biometrics. When you say biometrics, it's your face, it's your fingerprints. Kaya nga sabi nila, if you're gonna have a photo taken, don't show your fingers, because photographs are so high resolution already. You're literally donating your fingerprint to whoever can get access to that photograph, no?
Mhm.
And that can give access to devices with biometric protection, yung mga facial recognition protection. If you walk past a CCTV camera, huli agad yung mukha. And then I think it gets more abstract. It's so fast. Now we're in the era of artificial intelligence. This information can be manufactured, can be manipulated in a way that goes beyond yung typical Photoshop of human beings. You can literally produce a completely manufactured image of, Cito Beltran with his voice saying other things. Yun, I think that's what's also scary about this new era of data.
Yeah. Now, okay, so having said all of that, our choice is either you become bahala na si Batman, que sera, or you become paranoid. But as an expert in this field, what should the government be doing, or has the government done anything to kind of step up its game?
Well, I'm just gonna call out the facts. The Department of ICT, the DICT, is a relatively new department, and that's actually the mandate of such a department, to basically be the IT of the Philippines. And that covers everything from basic internet connectivity to cybersecurity and eventually artificial intelligence. So, meron namang may functions. I think we just need to beef those functions up, and not just dependent on one department. It has to be cross-department. So I recommend you should have this 4 E's framework. First is education, both on the expert level and the kind of the citizen level. The expert level is we just don't have enough people who have expert knowledge, cybersecurity experts, AI specialists, and this should be stepped up, because otherwise, where are we going to draw the functions who are supposed to man these issues? But on the mass level, I think yun nga, we need a cultural awareness. So we should be teaching cyber awareness, AI awareness in basic ed. And I probably bet it's not being taught there. People know more about TikTok, using it, than the risks of TikTok. So it really has to be on both ends. And then another phenomena that I was lobbying for in light of the recent cyber attacks, we're used to doing fire drills, diba? Or earthquake drills, kasi these are risky situations. What about a cyber drill? Diba? Like, for example, you found your phone was hacked. What are the first 3 things you should do? Diba? I mean, that kind of awareness isn't there. We all know to hide under a table pag may lindol, but we don't know what's going to happen if our emails were hacked. The second E is enforcement. Right now, the 2 most relevant laws are still the Data Privacy Act and the Anti-Cybercrime, or the Cybercrime Prevention Act, RA 10173 and 75. No? But my normal criticism of these laws, we really need these laws. These are important, but they focus more on the penalties if someone is caught, whatever.
Or they're used by the police as an excuse.
Well, not to disclose.
Not to disclose the identity of certain people. And I'm like, these are criminals, and this is not about digital information.
Yeah. So maybe that's the downstream impact of kind of the weird way these laws are implemented. Pero primarily, these laws are begging for a crime to happen. Parang ganun eh. It's not a preventative mechanism. It's a punitive, reactive mechanism. So it also goes without saying, we need more statutes. How do we encourage education, for example, in cyber and AI? How do we step up cyber awareness? There should be rules and policies templated, not just for government, but for private sector. The third is engineering. If I can point out some of the recent cyber attacks, for example, the Congress got defaced, and then we had leaks from PNP, DOST, PhilHealth. I'm not saying they're easy to do, but some of these are quite straightforward, like bad passwords, admin 123 yung password ng isa according to the news. And some of the websites that were compromised are rather old in terms of architecture. So,
or they didn't renew their security
they didn't renew their antivirus.
Yeah.
So I feel that medyo complex like procurement daw yung problem ng PhilHealth, whatever, no? It just begs na it's not an embedded instinct, no? We in government and companies. And
because our procurement laws are designed presuming that the people running the government are criminals. So the laws are focused on preventing criminality instead of safety. Anyway, so your last point, because we have to go already, Dominic, but what was your last E?
Sorry to drag on. But the fourth is really ethics. And ethics is more than just the law. It's about values. It's about risk management. And we need that embedded in our culture. Pero yun nga, sabi mo, we really have this bahala na attitude. Baga, it's out there, who cares? And then later you complain when your Facebook is compromised or your money has been siphoned from GCash or your bank. Sa huli ang pagsisisi. So I think as early as now, we should be a bit more proactive in making data important in our lives.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your inputs, Dominic, and I do hope you still make it to your next appointment. I know we've taken so much of your time, but thank you, and God bless you, and keep you safe. And I hope that your influence, as well as your agenda, takes root so that our data security and ethics would grow and prosper with your leadership. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, that's Dominic Ligot, founder of Cyrolytics Data Ethics PH. He's a member of the Board of Trustees, Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism. We'll go for a quick break, and when we return, let's find out what's happening with all these criminal elements among foreigners. And I understand the Bureau of Immigration already has its hands full. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
Another group of Chinese nationals were arrested for illegal possession of firearms and gambling violations during a recent raid by the National Bureau of Investigation, according to former Interior Secretary Rafi Alunan. NBI agents swooped down on a residence on Guava Street inside Ayala Alabang village and arrested 11 Chinese nationals composed of 5 men, 5 women, and 1 minor female. During their thorough search of the location, authorities recovered an unlicensed .45 caliber pistol with a magazine and 6 rounds, a 9mm pistol with a magazine holding 7 rounds, a switchblade knife, and gambling paraphernalia. Also found were 2 sports cars and 2 vans, 1 without license plates and 3 bearing fake Ayala Alabang Village Association stickers. This comes just over a month since the NBI also conducted a raid in Valle Verde 5 subdivision in Pasig City when 2 Chinese nationals were arrested for possession of high-powered firearms. For their part, how does the Immigration Bureau plan to address this issue? Let's find out on today's agenda. Dana Sandoval is the spokesperson of Bureau of Immigration since 2018. She is also the Bureau's Deputy Chief for Administration. Sandoval also used to teach at the Philippine Immigration Academy.
Good morning, Dana. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Sir Cito, and to all the viewers and listeners of our program.
Okay, I can imagine that you are all preparing, getting into shape for the surge of people flying in and out of the Philippines before Christmas.
Yes, we've actually had a trial period, so to say, during the long weekend, during Undas. And so far, things are okay. Things are manageable. The lines are manageable. But we're expecting more people who will be traveling by the end of the year. We're actually seeing figures almost close to pre-pandemic figures. That's why we're really gearing up for maybe second or third week of December. That's when things will really start to get heavy on our end. That's why we've put everything in place already at this time in preparation for the surge of travelers.
What changes have been introduced to the Bureau of Immigration at airports and seaports in terms of digitalization? Because there have been a lot of journalists, particularly motoring journalists, who traveled in the last 2 months, and they have been making comparisons regarding immigration counters in the West, in the U.S., in Canada, in China, etc. As far as the Philippines is concerned, how many percent digitalized are we?
Well, I can say really, to be honest, we really have to catch up at this point in time because other countries, other developed countries have been using technologies extensively in their border management.
Mhm.
Well, there are still a lot of countries that are doing manual processing. I guess most of the countries have shifted towards e-processing, manless counters. That's why as part of our budget request for 2024, the BI is set to procure added electronic gates. Kasi ngayon, we only have 21 electronic gates that's distributed nationwide already. And this was procured pre-pandemic. So at this point, the technology is a bit old already, so it has to be updated. If you've noticed, our electronic gates are chunky. Medyo malalaki po yung mga ating mga e-gates ngayon. But when we procure the new e-gates, the plan is to have it more smaller. So by the medium-term plan of the Bureau is really to replace half of its operations, its manual operations, to e-gates by 2026. So we start with 25% by 2024, 15% 2025, and the rest of it by 2026.
Okay, now let me shift gears here because I'm asking about all of this technology because people are wondering how is it that criminal elements have managed to come into the Philippines, particularly in China. I mean, our friends in the Filipino-Chinese communities tell me, in China, those people can't move around because they will immediately be tracked down through AI, through facial recognition, etc. So they've all migrated to the Philippines, some to Dubai, etc. What is the reason why criminal elements, particularly from the mainland China, has managed to create a lot of problems here in the country?
It's true, Sir Cito. We don't want to be racist or anything by targeting specific nationalities, but it's true that we've seen a rise in some Chinese nationals going here to the country with intentions different from what they have presented. Say, for example, they enter here with complete documents. They have their valid visas, meaning they have been vetted already by the Department of Foreign Affairs before entering here in the Philippines, because they have applied for their entry visa. When they enter here in the country, they have all the complete documentation. In a lot of cases, they apply for the conversion of their visas to a working visa, because we've arrested some of foreign nationals who have a working visa. But the intention here is different. As we've seen in the recent raids by local law enforcement agencies, they are housed in pseudo companies that pretend to be legitimate online gaming companies, but are really involved in criminal activities like prostitution, like kidnapping, forced labor, and stuff like that, in the guise of a legitimate company. So that's what we're focusing on right now. And we're really thankful. Actually, Sir Cito, in the past, it's really been just the Bureau of Immigration who has been arresting and investigating all of these foreign syndicates here in the Philippines. But we're really thankful that it has already been, I guess, a national effort, which includes the local law enforcement agencies now, who has been stepping up their game in arresting these criminal syndicates here in the Philippines.
Okay, is there a system, or is the Bureau, because what we think is your power may not be your authority, diba? So let's clarify that. But people, regarding the Ayala Alabang raid, the problems of gambling operations inside private villages, people with illegal vehicles, meaning, they're supposed to be in a private village, are supposed to be very, very high-end Bugattis. And when my contacts checked, they were neither in the records of the Bureau of Customs or in the records of the LTO. So people are they're being driven by Chinese nationals. So the question is, do you have power to, like, let's say, go to the homeowners association and sit down with them and say, please present us a list of the non-Filipino or immigrant residents of this, because now they're hiding in private villages or operating in private villages because your people can't just go in.
Yeah, not really, Sir Cito. I think there's I think we have to clarify the role of the Bureau of Immigration in terms of arresting foreign nationals who are doing illicit activities here in the Philippines. As we've noticed, they are being arrested by local law enforcement agencies because their actions here in the country are criminal in nature. So the jurisdiction falls under the local law enforcement agencies like the PNP and the NBI and so on. But of course, with since they are foreign nationals, it also has an immigration aspect to it. They have done a criminal activity, so they are arrested by local law enforcement agency, and they face prosecution in local law, under local laws. But at the same time, that also has an immigration aspect to it, wherein we can also file cases against these foreign nationals for violating immigration law.
But you can't go to, like, let's say, private exclusive villages and tell the homeowners association, we would like to see your registration of non-immigrant and or foreign residents.
I don't think so, Sir Cito, because that would be overstepping our boundaries already.
But is there someone who can do that? Can the police do that? Because that is clearly the scheme right now, or the strategy. Rent houses in exclusive villages and do what you want to do, because the police cannot come in without a warrant. The immigration cannot come in because it's not your authority.
I'm not particularly knowledgeable about the jurisdictions of the police. But what we can do, Sir Cito, is that we can coordinate with these homeowners if they send us information already. Because we can, of course, we can conduct motu proprio, we can conduct investigations on our own using our intelligence division. But we can't just go house to house and check or
No, not house to house, Dana. I mean, like you were saying, that there would be a situation or maybe memorandum of agreement that all homeowners association in regards to foreign nationals would coordinate with the Bureau of Immigration, and the Bureau can issue a certificate. Yes, they are legally registered with the Bureau of Immigration.
That could be possible, Sir Cito, and that could be really helpful, I guess, if communities coordinate with us. We actually have we are actually in the works of coordinating with local like the barangays and local associations to give us information about foreign nationals in the country who might be doing illegal stuff here in the Philippines. Because it's really important that the local government units give us information about this, because they are the ones who are in the know what's happening in their
Yeah.
in their units themselves.
Yeah, because we're running out of time, Dana, I'll have to ask you my last question. And it is a question that so many people have been asking me. The Bureau of Immigration is able to, in cooperation with the police or on its own, arrest foreign nationals committing criminal acts. But you're not able to deport them immediately. Some people are saying, dapat na explain out. But here, may mga hearing pa kayo, and then pakakainin pa natin. We have to put them in detention cells, etc. And we run the risk of anything happening to them. Is there no way of fast-tracking that? And, upon arrest, okay, you're an unwanted alien, out.
Yes, we have been fast tracking that, Sir Cito, and to be honest, our detention center is really packed right now. It's packed. It has more than double of its capacity already. But there, of course, there's a need to, of course, continue the deportation process. They have to have their valid travel document, and usually that's what takes time when they get their travel document from their specific embassies, because they cannot travel in and out of the country or go to wherever that they are going without a travel document. And usually that's one of the things that really takes time. And lastly, they should not have any local cases here in the Philippines. Most of the ones that are in, I think 50% of those who are in our detention center in Bicutan have pending criminal cases here in the Philippines. We cannot deport them until the criminal cases here are resolved already. So if they say, for example, they have a case for murder here in the Philippines, we have to wait for the resolution of that. But the DOJ has stepped up and coordinated with some because of this issue of kinakasuhan, they file cases against themselves.
Yes.
A reason to stay here in the Philippines, so they will be able to evade their crimes.
Yeah.
So the DOJ, through the help of the DOJ, they have coordinated with the courts to ensure that they expedite the resolution of cases filed against foreign nationals, and to dismiss or resolve whatever the action is of frivolous cases that these foreign nationals might have filed against themselves.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dana, and I'm sure I'll be speaking to you more often in the coming 5 weeks because of the Christmas rush. But I do wish all our friends at the Bureau of Immigration divine patience, great wisdom, and favor among travelers. And if you have announcements to travelers, let us know. Thank you very much, Dana.
Thank you. Maraming salamat, Sir Cito, and good morning.
Okay, that's Dana Sandoval, spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration since 2018. We'll now go to our declaration blessing for this week, and it goes, honesty has a power that very few people can handle. For some, it is hard to be totally honest, especially to loved ones, because we don't want to hurt people. But for others, honesty is something they can't handle because they have issues and they are not being truthful to themselves. So, but at the end of the day, honesty is a power that you have. Use it with love. God bless all of you. I'm Cito Beltran thanking you. Please keep it here on One News.